Let's get this show on the road. You got it? Okay. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for yet another accessible subway station opening. I can't even keep count, but we've done a ton of these in the last week or two, a lot. And this is part of our commitment to just keep going with accessibility in the subway system until we got a system that is truly fully accessible. I'm Jana Lieber, MTA Chair and CEO, and here again with Jamie Torres Springer, who is the president of MTA Construction Development, who builds all this stuff, Chief Accessibility Officer Quamel Arroyo, and we're joined by Mike Collada, who is the Region 2 of the Federal Transit Administration, Regional Administrator, and also by some folks who have played special roles in this project. We have Sarah. Where is Sarah Rafferty? Sarah Rafferty? Sarah. Sarah is the chair of the Hunter College Art Department, Special Relations. This is the Hunter College Station. And Lisa Corrine Davis, who did these amazing murals, mosaic murals that we see all around us. Hi. We're celebrating art in transit every day, and when we get a new project with great art, we celebrate it. Trudy Mason, who is a member of our Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, and who is an active member of this community in many different respects, and a longtime advocate for this project. Thank you for being here, Trudy. And the disability advocates, they're behind me. They don't go far when we celebrate ADA. They are a special part of the MTA family and the story of what we're doing with the accessibility level of the MTA system. Big shout out to Jerry Nadler, congressman from this area. I've known him for a million years. Jerry is stuck in Washington with the drama over the continuing resolution, but he actually wanted to be here, and he's been a big supporter of MTA and especially these type of projects. Listen, if you couldn't tell by the series of events we've held in the last week, we are on a mission to make the system more accessible, especially critical stations like this one, the 68th Street Hunter College Station, which is way overdue. In fact, this is the 100th, a little background, when the Americans with Disability Act was passed back in 1988, the federal government gave MTA a pass because they said you can't get all of your 490 stations accessible. At that time, that's what they said. Only make the 100 key stations. Well, this station is the 100th of those key stations. We now are we're now well in excess of 150 stations that are accessible, but there's something special about finishing off one overdue piece of work. But it's not only about getting elevators installed. There's a ton of other work done here. I'll let Jamie describe it. But as with many of these projects, we had to expand the mezzanine. We had to redo stairways. Here we did 15 stairways. Add a new concession stand. We did a whole new entrance. We bought a retail space out from the very big residential condo that sits on this block. So I just want to say, let's hear it for MTA Construction Development and their contractors. I'm going to name them. Hold your applause. Sinalta Forte, Mid-American Elevator, and we also have ACOM was functioning as the construction manager, and T.Y. Lin. This is a team that continues to knock out projects again and again. Now you can applaud all of them. Thank you. I'm going to say it again. There is so much talk about affordability in our political and civic environment these days, and Governor Hochul has really made that a priority. But I just want to emphasize the connection between accessibility and affordability. Who needs affordability? Who needs to be able to use transit? Because transit is one of the few things that makes New York affordable. Students, Hunter College upstairs. Seniors, people operating on fixed incomes. Young families with strollers. And of course, the disabled community, which is among the most economically challenged pieces of our society. So accessibility equals affordability, equals access to jobs and education and healthcare and everything New York has to offer. And that is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons we're passionate about this. Listen, we know that this important work could not get done without the support of our federal partners. We always thank our guardian angel in Washington, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Jerry Nadler, I mentioned earlier, huge supporter, and also the federal government, the whole Biden administration team represented here by Mike Collada. The feds contributed $140 million. Yes, yes. All right. Trudy's in politics, so she cheers for the politicians. The feds contributed $140 million towards this $177 million project, and almost a quarter of that budget went to disadvantaged business enterprises. This is something that's not always mentioned when you're talking about the MTA, but we are by far the largest public contractor with minority, women-owned, and other disadvantaged firms. We do over $1 billion of work a year, and this project is representative of that, with over 25% going to disadvantaged business enterprises, including minority and women-owned businesses. So MTA will continue to lead the way in that respect, and we'll talk more about that at other events, but today we're here to celebrate an amazing project that is way overdue, and we're thrilled to deliver. Jamie Torres-Springer.
Thank you. Thank you, Jano. It's so exciting to be here to open this year's 9th newly accessible subway station, 16 between the subway and our 2 railroads combined. It's been a very busy month for ADA projects and openings. We have another 40 stations currently in construction for accessibility across the system. These improvements are a huge deal for New Yorkers. This station is really special. Jano talked about this is the 100th key station. 20,000 riders a day pass through here. Really important, maybe the busiest local station in our system. And you know, when you look around at the complexity, I mean, there's a reason this is the 100th, because of how hard it was to do this work, but we tackled it. And if you look around this station was completely rebuilt and brought into a state of good repair. I'll talk about the details in a second. But not only that, the neighborhood above, the streets above, and the sidewalks above, we've made huge improvements as we put things back together. And that happened because of the commitment of this MTA to accessibility. The other big piece of news, not only did this project come in on time, Jano talked about the budget, we're $21 million under budget on this project.
I'll cheer for
And
that.
that's money that's going directly back into making more stations accessible and keeping our system running safely, reliably, and frequently. So this is a big deal. The station presented many challenges. That's why it took a while to get here. Utility relocation, rerouting this complicated network of pipes and cables. Here at 68th Street, we had to replace a century-old water main that was 3 feet in diameter. And I came out here with the project team many times and looked down into the pit of that excavation and wondered how we were ever going to get that work done. And it got done, and you look out there today, and that street has been put back together and looks amazing. A lot of complex real estate and property acquisition based on the limits of where we could place elevators in this very old station. We just needed more space. A lot of coordination with local stakeholders, which our team did a great job of. We met with CUNY and other neighbors on a regular basis. We even configured the construction schedule around student exam schedules to minimize the impact. That's going above and beyond. So what did we do here? 3 new elevators, 1 street to mezzanine at 68th Street, and 2 mezzanine to platform elevators serving both directions. 2 new ADA raised boarding areas on the platforms. The platforms have tactile edge strips along their whole length. 6 stairwells rehabilitated to meet modern code. We doubled the number of entrances and built 2 new street to platform staircases to increase the capacity of this station to handle those 20,000 daily riders. Huge state of good repair, new wall tile and steel repairs to the station column and beams. Little bit of punch list wall tile, still got to get done downstairs, but it's going to get done. Track work, new lighting, wayfinding, signage, CCTV cameras, new help points, 2 new fare array areas, complete with Omni validators, and to top it off, this amazing 364 square feet of beautiful new mosaic artwork in the new mezzanine at 68th Street that we're all really proud of. It looks wonderful. Thank you for it. Jano said a lot of the thank yous. Our team, led by Bill Montanili, Syed Rizvi, Vikram Tadla, Peter Brighton, Atir Shah, Sam Afifi, of course, our expediter on these things, and then you mentioned our contractors, but I do want to single out Hassan Abdallah from AECOM, our partners at Forte Sitnalta and Mid-American Elevator. We're really proud of getting this station complete, and with that, I want to turn it over to Mike Collada from the FTA. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Go ahead. Thank you, Jamie. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Federal Transit Deputy Administrator Veronica Vanterpool, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and the Biden-Harris administration, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today as we celebrate New York City Transit making Hunter College 68th Street Station accessible to people with disabilities. I am thrilled to see this station. It is gorgeous. It's beautiful. My wife and I lived right across the street from this station for many years, a long time ago. I would love to bring her here to see the incredible artwork. It's just such a great transformation. I'm so excited to be here. Today's milestone, it's a historic moment for the ADA as it marks the 100th and final of New York City Transit's key stations to reach ADA accessibility. None of this would be possible without the hard work and dedication of the MTA chairman and CEO, Jano Lieber. Jano, you are really leading a transformation at the MTA and taking the agency to the next level with accessibility, and we greatly admire all the work that you do, and we're so grateful for your leadership. I'd also like to thank MTA Construction and Development President Jamie Torres Springer, all the labor behind me, all the advocates that have helped make this vision a reality. Today's achievement represents a lot of close working relationship with us at the Federal Transit Administration. And speaking of the Federal Transit Administration, I would like to thank my team who worked tirelessly to support the New York MTA, to support public transportation in our region. Some of them are here with us today, including my outstanding deputy, Donald Burns, who was intimately involved in this project from a long time ago. Donald, thank you for all your work on this. Today, we celebrate how we work together to help make our nation's oldest rail stations accessible to people with disabilities. The project here at 68th Street is a real game changer. As Jamie mentioned earlier, many elements of the station have been replaced and upgraded, including a new street-to-mezzanine elevator, new mezzanine-to-platform elevators, new ADA signage and boarding areas, new staircases, upgrades to station lighting to provide greater accessibility, and all the beautiful artwork that we see here today. These features were not required when stations like the one here at 68th Street were built 106 years ago, back in 1918, so today's opening is truly significant. These features transform lives, and they change communities. I remember, Jano, over the summer, we did an event up in the Bronx. We announced over $150 million for a suite of stations in the Bronx to make them fully ADA accessible. And I met a woman named Michelle who came up to me, hugged me with tears in her eyes. She had suffered a debilitating injury. It left her partially paralyzed, and she had to climb the stairs up and down every day to get to her doctor's appointments, to take her kids to school, to get groceries. And she was so grateful for all the work that we do to make these stations accessible. She was crying. And I think of folks like Michelle today when we celebrate these kinds of events. It's just one. Michelle's story is just one. It's an example of how these investments improve lives for New Yorkers. Through projects like this one at 68th Street, where we are removing the barriers that prevent and interfere with an individual's ability to take the train wherever they need to go. And when we remove these barriers, we create opportunity. At the U.S. Department of Transportation, we want to ensure that when we're making investments in public transit, we are making investments for everyone, regardless of disability. We remain committed to ensuring that when the doors of opportunity open on transit, those with disabilities will not be left behind. Federal Transit Administration is proud to have contributed $140 million towards the improvements here at the 68th Street Hunter College Station. We are also proud that over the last several years, FTA has provided MTA with over $3.3 billion to make ADA improvements throughout the entire MTA transit network. With today's milestone in New York City, nearly 150 subway stations are now accessible, dozens more are under construction, and more elevators are on the way. The federal government's investment in MTA's ADA program and our commitment to those with disabilities is significant. We need to celebrate it. We appreciate MTA's commitment to modernizing its system and bringing it up to ADA standards. We recognize how important these improvements are to the workers, commuters, business owners, and residents in the city, here in the neighborhood. And thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law, we have more opportunities to support accessibility needs across the region. I'm looking forward to more ribbon cuttings like the one today. And in closing, let me just say again, on behalf of the Federal Transit Administration, congratulations to Jano, to the MTA, to all of the public officials gathered here today for your efforts to complete this important project. It's an honor to be here. I'm proud to be a New Yorker. Thank you, Jano.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for being with us here with us today. My name is Quimel Arroyo, and I have the honor of serving as the MTA's very first Chief Accessibility Officer. Listen, this is really simple. Accessibility is universal. This is not just about the over 1 million New Yorkers with disabilities who live here, who are demanding access to everything that the city has to offer. Access to education, access to employment, access to independence, and all of that starts with access to transportation. It is all made possible because of our great transit system. Before coming to the MTA, I used to be the Chief of Accessibility at the Department of Transportation, and I'd have constant battles with parking upstairs. Our accessorized vehicles just didn't have enough space because they were battling other parking spots, and everybody knows how crucial parking spaces are in New York. Well, there's not enough space upstairs for all the students who are coming to this college, to this location, who are coming to get their education. With this opening, we alleviate that demand and provide access to all Hunter College students to come here like everybody else does, using mass transit, which is the best way to move around New York City. So I'm so happy to be celebrating this opening and to give back to those students the access that they demand and so desperately need. In addition to that, I have to say it takes a village. And Jano, Jamie, and I are the recipients of a lot of great work that started before any of us got to the MTA. And that, people like Trudy, who started this battle over 20 years ago. It takes a village to do this work. So thank you so much to all of those who came before us. But Jano, Jamie, we are doing the hard work. We are showing the future MTAs that it can be done if you have the will. We're leaving you the money, so keep the work after all of us here. I have to give one shout out to someone who wasn't mentioned yet, who is our chief engineer, Matt Bass, who came up on the subway with me. Thank you, Matt, for all you do to ensure that this continues to happen. And as I said, this is really about allowing everyone who comes to New York the access to move around on their own time, to have the independence that everybody else has been enjoying for years, access to everything that New York has to offer, entertainment, to move around, to go to work like I do every day here at the MTA. It's truly an honor to be here with you all and to be celebrating the beautiful art. Thank you so much. Unas cuantas palabras en español. Para mí es un placer estar aquí hoy, aquí en la parada de la 68, en el tren 6, abriendo otra estación, siendo accesible para todo neoyorquino. Para mí esto es personal, pero también yo entiendo la necesidad de los estudiantes que están aquí arriba en Hunter College, que necesitan ese acceso, que necesitan acceso a la educación para que puedan trabajar y moverse independientemente. Listen, folks, one of the hardest part of my job is educating able-bodied people with means who do not know how difficult it is to get around. Our hard work in government is doing what's right for people beyond their desires and means, because folks don't understand that though they may be able to move around independently today, accessibility is universal, and if we're lucky, we will all age. And when we age, our gait changes, our vision diminishes, our hearing diminishes. We're doing the work for your future. We are providing for your future selves. You may not care about it now or know that we're doing this for you, but in government, we have to provide for you beyond your cries because you don't understand that you too will be part of this community. thank you all for being here, and thank you for celebrating this with us.
And just an extra shout out to someone who's been an important partner, Valerie Mason, the chair of Community Board 8. Thank you for all you have done as a partner on this journey together. So with that, I think we do the Ray Raimondo, the role of Tim Minton will be played by Ray Raimondo. So.
That's right, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. Andrew Siff has an on-topic question and an off-topic question.
Yeah.
I actually have three questions, one on topic, and they're all on topic, really. I've been covering the MTA for about 20 years.
Yeah.
Can you just sort of put in perspective for us how much more accessible the system is now compared to, say, 2004? It used to be you'd hear, oh, can't get off at that station, can't get off at that station, can't take 68.
It's a really important point. Where we are, in the first phase, slowly, the MTA got a lot of the big stations in the center of Manhattan, in the center of the system, made accessible, which was an important step. But it's no good to have an accessible station at your destination if you're going to Times Square or Grand Central if you can't get on where you're coming from in the boroughs or in another part of Manhattan. And that's what we have changed. This is a local station. This is not, although it's a key station, it's a local station. So now people can know not only do I have accessibility and the ability to get up and down and in and out at the center of our city and our system, but at both ends of my journey, the system is truly accessible. And the other thing I want to add is that's especially important for the people who are trying to, those communities I mentioned that are trying to make New York work for them, even though it has become more expensive. Transit is affordable. I don't want every parent with a stroller to have to take a cab or a big Uber. I don't want every senior to have to take a for-hire vehicle. That's what accessibility does. And this station and the many others that we have brought on to the system as accessible are opening the system truly to literally hundreds of thousands of people.
Jamie brought up that 40 others are in construction or at some phase of things. Can you clarify, Jamie, when congestion pricing paused in June, you had to deprioritize some of those. I think Forest Hills was one of them. I could be wrong. But are they all good to go no matter what happens with congestion pricing? Or if there is another court-imposed pause, are you going to have to basically pause a lot of this accessibility?
Well, I won't comment on the hypotheticals of that. We've got congestion pricing is starting on January 5th. We're proceeding full tilt to restore the projects. There, as you said, there is a small number of projects that were paused, but mostly we got new procurements out to get project work going, and we've pivoted. We got that done very quickly. Second Avenue Subway, the big tunnel contract is going to hit the market in the next couple of days. We've restarted our big re-signaling modernization of the Fulton line in Brooklyn. The board voted to award the next package, a package of 5 ADA stations on the subway. All of that is moving forward full tilt.
And then last question is, Jano.
Tim would never.
I know.
Agree.
Tim decided.
This is like fantasy land for you.
As he might say, the great Tim Minton decided to take a vacation day when you're opening your most important accessible station in years. But let me just ask that with the court.
This from the man who didn't believe we'd made 14th Street truly accessible. Right. Okay, go ahead.
You do have an important court hearing today in this congestion pricing litigation.
Yeah.
One of the plaintiffs referred to the whole situation as codename limbo because you've got 16 days until this thing switches on, but you still don't have the clarity from the federal bench. Is that creating unnecessary anxiety, and how would you interpret these final 2 cases in Manhattan and New Jersey?
Well, I mean, it's not news to you that if you're responsible, as many of us are for the MTA and for a big public transit project, the level of anxiety is high at all times, where there's much going on. The real issue is, are we changing our behavior, our strategy, and our execution? The answer is no. We are ready to go with congestion pricing. We've been delivering information to literally tens of thousands of people through webinars, through advertising through all kinds of media, social media, conventional print media, and we're going to keep making sure everybody knows congestion pricing is scheduled to start at midnight on the 5th of January. That's Saturday night going into Sunday morning. And it starts with the 75% discount on the overnights, but the program is planned to go into effect, and we're going to be ready to go.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you. Congratulations.